Beautiful night out here. Oh man. You know, I want to share with you guys a little piece of the future that I desire. I desire one day to have a beautiful family, you know, with a beautiful wife, kids. I want some little gordos running around, you know, maybe a son, you know, a daughter, whatever I'm blessed with. Can't wait to be a pops one day. I think I'll be a good pops. Still got a lot to learn, but I think it'd be fun. But, you know, I want them to live in a world that's safe, you know? I want them to live in a world in which they can thrive. I want them to get to experience this, man. To be in their backyard and it's beautiful outside and, you know, there's nature around me. I'm safe, I ain't gotta worry about people, you know, doing malicious things, you know, I don't have to worry about none of that. People are connected, the people around me are connected. I just have this vision for the future of like, you know, let's create that. And I'm sure you want the same thing. I have a little brother and sister, man, where I want to see them win. I want to see them be safe and happy and connected and, you know, living a life that's aligned with prosperity. I want that for my family, man. And so, you know, one of the reasons I make these videos is for that. I think there's a certain kind of consciousness that needs to be spread, and a consciousness that's infused with the energy of love, patience, understanding, compassion, and empathy. I think there should be a consciousness like that spread if that kind of world is ever going to be available to my kids one day and my little brother and sister and the future generations of humans to come. There has to be a consciousness like that, because if there's not, it's going to be the opposite. And a consciousness that is the opposite looks like greed. People are willing to hurt other people for what they desire. There's disconnection amongst everybody. It's a consciousness that is so out of sync with nature and the universe that it feels disconnected from other human beings to the point where he could kill him and he can judge him off the bat. You have to be disconnected to be prejudiced. You have to be disconnected to be racist. I want to eliminate those kind of things. And not by eliminating the people or hurting the people, but by showing them that those actions that are aligned with those things aren't even really what they want. I want to show them what it looks like to be connected. I want to show people what it looks like to be loving, to be empathetic, to be patient. I want to show people what it looks like to love themselves. And I think there's too many people, there's too many reference points in the world right now that are showing them how to do the opposite. And so that's why I make these videos. I'm trying to be the change that I want to see in the world, man. I'm working hard on myself, man. I'm not perfect. I make bonehead mistakes, you know. I've hurt myself, I've hurt others. And I'm probably still going to make mistakes as time goes on. But I'm doing my best, and I want to share it and document that and put that out. Because I got a lot of love in me, man. I got a lot of love in me. I've done a lot of deep introspection, you know, and forgiving myself and forgiving others. I've been working for years on how to get more connected, man. And to gain a mastery over my mind and my body and my spirit and my emotions. That's been my focus. People went off to college to learn a specific degree for those 4 years. I've been in Barnes & Noble and YouTube University learning about the human body and the human mechanism and this human condition. So while people have been taking courses and classes in college by a curriculum given to other people, I have tailored my courses and my curriculum and my education in a different way, specifically to what was close to my heart, which is human consciousness, which is you. I'm passionate about you. I'm passionate about seeing you happy. There's no school, there's no major for that in school. So sorry if I don't have a degree. There's no major for that. What major is that? Well, I want to major in impacting, uplifting. I want to major in motivating. I want to major in healing, and not just the body, not just the mind, not just the emotions, but all of it. What's a holistic approach? That's my passion. It's what I love, man. And so when I'm making these videos, man, first off, chime in, add to it. Let's see what kind of mastermind we can create. Let's see what kind of collective consciousness we all together can create. What kind of collective consciousness can we create together? And let's create one that's going to help the human race thrive. That's going to be more attractive than hatred. To some people, because of the things they've seen and because of their experiences in life, sometimes violence is the more attractive option because you don't know what love looks like. So I'm not going to try that because I'll probably get jacked up. It's probably not effective. I made a video the other day on racism and how, hey, we should promote everybody identifying with being human first rather than being a certain skin color. Let's all self-identify primarily with being human, being emotional, mental, physical creatures that are just trying to understand this freaking thing called life. Let's identify with that and let's all have an understanding on that basis. And once you do that, you have a little more patience for people. When you're able to acknowledge that, man, hold on, I know that guy right there is the opposite skin color of me. This guy right here is white, or this guy right here is Asian, but I also know that he's a human that makes mistakes just like me. I also know that he's a human that has a mother and father that could have possibly screwed them over in their life. I also know that this person's been hurt. I also know this person has people that we are the same at the end of the day. You know, despite skin color, there's something going on here that is very similar about every person I encounter. We all have a name, we all have emotions, we're all in the same freaking boat, man. And so let's promote a consciousness that acknowledges all that stuff, that glamorizes that stuff, because it's what's going to keep us thriving. We're making all these movies that are, you know, violent. We're making all these movies, I mean, yeah, they're awesome. I love the Avengers, it's violence, but we're making all these movies and people are looking at these movies and stuff, and that's their reference point of existence. They're beginning to recognize almost every movie has war in it, or some kind of drama, or something that we wouldn't want to happen to ourselves. And we keep on rewatching it and rewatching it and rewatching it, and it's programming us to imagine more of that stuff. And at some point we're going to create it with war, if that's all that we're seeing. You know what I'm saying? We got to see more reference points of what it looks like to be a utopian kind of world. We need more movies that aren't just talking about like the Hunger Games or all these like movies that are dystopian, like I can't think of any right now, but there's all these movies that are like, like 1983, that book that we all had to read in high school. There was this book about this, dystopian world that, Big Brother was watching them. And we're creating that with our imaginations by constantly feeding ourselves that image. Let's create that by feeding ourselves images of what we desire so that people feel motivated and moved to create that rather than fearing the other things. See, everybody is more afraid of what they don't want in life in our society rather than in love with what they do want. Everybody's afraid of what they don't want when everybody really should be in love with what they desire. And those two core things will take us in different directions. If you live your whole life afraid of what you don't want and you're making decisions based off of what you're afraid of rather than making decisions based off of what you're in love with, it's going to take those two different people down two different paths. And I guarantee the person that is moving towards what they're in love with has a life that looks more like what they're in love with versus a person that's moving down a road in which they're afraid of and, living a bunch of things that they're afraid of. It's just you paint your reality with your mind and with your thoughts, man. And so we collectively have to paint a certain picture with our minds. Collectively, we have to create some kind of picture in our minds that creates the kind of future we want. But we're not doing that collectively. We're creating this, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world in this moment that we don't want. We're seeing that on our TV. All we see is what we don't want. When we have conversations with people, all we really talk about is what we don't want. And it's creating more of that. And so we got to really start talking about what we love. Rather, instead of talking about the thing that we don't like, and as shitty as this is going to sound, yeah, we should talk about and acknowledge the people that have, I'm just going to skip this. No, I'm not going to. All I'm saying is there's bad news in the world. Yeah, bad things happen. Let's acknowledge them, learn from them, move from them, and create what we love instead of constantly focusing on what bad happened. Acknowledge it, let's correct it, and we can correct it by directing the opposite energy in that direction. If you want to heal somebody that's sick, you don't direct more sickness at them to heal them. You direct a healing energy towards them. The healing, we want to heal the world. Racism is something that needs to be healed, not fixed. Racism is something that needs to be healed, not fixed. Those people have been, it's not their fault they ended up that way. You start off in life where you start off, and more thought, and you get brainwashed by the people around you, man. You know, and it's just, but what are they, you know, everybody's washing each other's brain with something. So what are you washing the people's brains around you with? Fear or love? Hatred or love? Connectedness or separation? What are you painting everybody's life with? How are you raising your kids to be connected to other people, connected to their feelings, connected to the world around them so they're self-aware enough to be able to navigate? Or are you brainwashing their brain with fear and isolation and your demons? A lot of us, we pass our demons on to our kids. We pass our pains on to our kids because we never healed them in ourselves, and you can only give what you have. This is a whole big rant, man, but you know, long story short, man, the reason I make these videos is because I want to do some kind of, you know, collective consciousness work where we all collectively come together and we really try to think up a consciousness that can equate out a collective consciousness, an agreement base. Let's come to agreements on some things. Let's have some conversations that need to be had and come to some agreements on some basic things that we all want, which at the end of the day is security, love, freedom, and contentment. That's what we want at the end of the day. So why are we entertaining all these things that don't make us feel that way? There's an energy that has to be spread amongst the human race. There's a consciousness, a way of thinking that needs to be spread across the human race if we're ever going to be healed. They call it the Christ consciousness. Some people. Whatever it is, I call it love. I guarantee you that, you know, whatever the right religion is, y'all, everybody wants to say this is the right religion, this is the right religion, this is the right. Well, I guarantee you this. If we all get on the same wavelength of love, I bet we'll figure it out. I bet we'll figure it out a lot easier than if we're all living on this wavelength of fear and separation and judgment and condemnation. Everybody, if you believe in a heaven and a hell, you believe in God, why are you acting like that person? Why are you acting like God up in the sky? Let God do the judgment. Let God do the condemning. You just do your best. That's all we can do is our best. And help other people do their best. Help them from where they're at. You know, we gotta practice patience, man, and take into consideration of all the variables in each other's lives. We all have different mothers, fathers. We all have, you know, different families. We all have, you know, different traumas. We all have all these different specific situations that happen that cause us to think a certain way in our life. It's like a domino effect, and we have to have patience for that and understanding in people's lives. You know, I can only imagine, like, you know, I lost my mother at 7 years old. She passed away really young in my life, and that did something to my psychology. It affected me. Now, I didn't see her die. She passed away in the hospital. I was at home. I didn't see her. I didn't really have a last conversation with her. In my mind, I don't really remember that. You know, I might have, but I don't remember it. I was young. I was 7. You know, but what would my psychology right now be like? And say if she didn't die of cancer, what if she died of a gunshot? What if she died by a police officer shooting her? That would have a different effect on my consciousness for the rest of my life. You know, and so she could have left in so many other ways, whatever, you know. If she died in front of me, my mind would have been altered by that one little variable, that one little change, you know. My mind would have been altered by that. And so, you know, what I'm saying is, it could have happened any kind of way, and you don't know what it's like to grow up in a situation where things were really, 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 really rough. Or maybe you do. that affects us all differently, and we have to take that into consideration and be patient with each other and understanding so that we may fit the puzzle pieces together. We're all pieces to a puzzle, but because all the puzzle pieces look different, we get mad at the puzzle pieces. How does that work? Imagine sitting down at a table and you're putting together puzzle pieces. Imagine doing that, and you're trying to figure out where these puzzle pieces go. And you start getting really pissed off at the puzzle pieces. In fact, some of the puzzle pieces start killing each other because they're like, dude, I don't know where you fit in. You know, you're different, you're too different. You're too different, so I'm mad, I'm gonna condemn this and kill it. No, it's not be patient, understanding. If you don't know where that puzzle piece goes, it's okay. Move on to a different puzzle piece. And you'll find one that connects with you easily. And you can love that one. Love the people that are easy to love. You know, naturally just gravitate towards what you love versus condemn and hate on the stuff that you don't, because then you'll be focused on that and you'll never find all the pieces that connect. And what a glorious thing to find all the pieces that connect. It empowers you, it makes you strong. I built so many great relationships through these videos with people all over the world, my family, my friends. I have great relationships with all my friends and family, you know, like we all give love. I make sure that love is what you're getting from me. My desire to understand you and be patient with you is what you're going to get from me. And in that being a fact, it allows connections to be made on a deep level. And I feel empowered by that. I feel empowered by being connected to so many amazing people. But the way I have gotten connected with so many amazing people